Welcome to Tropes and Tantrums. I'm Amber.
And I'm Danielle. We are just two moms, never without our kids or our Kindles.
Welcome back, book besties. I am so excited.
So excited.
We are talking about... I hate that I can't see myself.
Hold on. You're like there.
Okay, that's better. Why does it...
Still recording?
Yeah, okay.
You're like, I can't see myself, so I'm going to die now.
I am going to die now. Okay. We are talking about our buddy read of Come Break My Heart Again by CW Farnsworth. I just freaking love this book so much. Okay, I've already read this book. I read this book before CW Farnsworth reimagined Ryder and Elle's story. And I rated that book back then 5 stars. I read this reimagined, still rated it 5 stars. I think I actually loved this more.
So I had obviously not read it before. And it was like an easy 5 stars for me. It was so good. So good. I just started it yesterday, I think.
You did?
I think I started it late. What's today? I think I started it late Friday. I don't know. I remember thinking, shit, I gotta get my shit together because I gotta get this book done. So I think it was Friday. I think I started Friday night, maybe. I flew through
Impeccable timing.
Wow.
I DM'd her a question.
Oh my God.
And she just got back to me, and I'm really excited.
I thought you meant impeccable timing that I actually finished it. Because, so impeccable timing.
No, I finished this book yesterday.
We had a lot going on. So
on the way home from the lake.
So good.
I had 10 pages. But
all right, you want to
okay.
Oh, let's do a little disclaimer. If you have not read this book yet, please turn this episode off and start the book. Add to your TBR. All things.
It is a fast read. Fast read. Chapters are short, quick, point to the point.
It's just a fast story.
Yeah, and you're
gonna want to know what happens.
It's so
it's so good. So please, if you've not read it,
I highly recommend this. This is one of my favorite CW Farnsworth books.
And I have not read her before, so
this is one of my favorites. So
high bar set.
Awesome.
Tropes.
Second chance, opposite side of the track.
Dual POV.
This one is dual POV. Secret relationship.
Past,
present.
Bad boy-esque vibes.
Yeah. Rich girl.
Small
town.
Great.
Just fantastic.
Amazing spice.
Yes.
Spice is really good.
Yes. Okay, so Danielle voice memoed me a question.
Oh, are we going to start with that?
I want to start with that.
Because you're itching to.
I am itching because it's on the top of my head.
So I voice memoed her.
Yes.
And I knew she wasn't going to actually reply with it, but I needed to voice memo so that I could get the thoughts out so that she could start to ponder so we could get to this point.
I was screaming.
Were you screaming?
I was screaming. I was like, ah!
Oh my God. Okay, so little background. If this is the first you've ever heard of us, you probably haven't. But I read a significant number of traditionally published books. So authors versus indie novels, which are independent authors. Not to say one is better or worse than the other. That is not the conversation we're having. But what I'm saying is so my perspective is I read a lot more traditionally published authors. So a lot more of your very mainstream-esque books, I guess, is that not to say again, independent authors aren't mainstream, but more of what you're going to find at Target or what you're going to find
you read more book talky books.
Correct. That's exactly it. And so I don't read as many indie authors as Amber does. And if you've been around, you hear the arcs. This is what she reads. This is what she I would venture to say you prefer.
I prefer.
So that's me going.
It's not saying that I don't read traditional authors.
No,
because I do, but I prefer an indie author.
And it's actually kind of like a fun thing because when you listen to our podcast, you kind of get the both perspective of that because it's fun. It's fun. And obviously we cross over all the time. Like we sometimes have our reads of the month as more indie. And sometimes we have more, I think they're mostly indie, I would say.
Yeah, I try my best to like
to
push you towards.
To steer me. Steer me. Steer? Yeah.
Steer.
So what I had asked her is I said, and I'm going to try to like synopsis, like figure out like how to say this, like as I said it. Do you feel like more indie published books, the romances feel more like have more depth to them? Essentially, I wasn't thinking that was the word, but that's really the word I was looking for when I sent it to you. More depth, and where you feel it deeper, like the love between the two characters, the build up, all the things have more depth. And that is not to say that the traditionally published books do not have good romance, do not have good depth, do not have good character development, all the things. But when I have read, and I've not read, like I said, I'm not an indie publisher girly like Amber is. So my picks are very much what is popular or what Amber has recommended, which I know are going to be good picks. But it feels almost that they don't have as much depth as an indie published book. The traditionally published. That's similarly to what I said.
Yeah, you were like, there's just something about the love story and the characters
that I relate to more. And like you connect with in a deeper way versus not. And again, it's not to say that there's a lack of reality in the traditionally published books, but it almost feels like deeper escapism in a traditionally published book. Not to say there's no escapism in an indie book, but I feel like when you're reading an indie book, like you're in it. Like you're fully in it. And I don't know if it's like the authors I've read. I don't know. Like, again, it's a very complex situation.
So I never answered the voice memo. I just said, I listened to your voice memo.
Save it for the pod.
We'll talk about it on the pod. So now we're going to talk about it.
Because we're here on the pod.
I personally feel like, and this is my opinion, and you don't have to agree with me, and that's okay, because it's my opinion, not yours. But indie authors and the love stories that they write, in my opinion, are more attainable. Mm-hmm. 100%. It is that could literally happen to me. Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm not now. I want to preface this also because I also read a lot of white shoes. I've never seen nothing like that happening.
I mean, you do you. If you're on this and you're like, that's like what I'm into. Cool, great, solid.
By all means, I'm happy for you. Truly. I'm saying like monogamous relationship in the indie author space, those to me are attainable. Mm-hmm. That's
the word that I was, it's not the exact word, but when I was driving home after finishing the book, that's what I was thinking, that it's more realistic, or it could I feel like I could know these people, like, and this story could be like real.
And this could happen to my best friend.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. That is my take. And I feel like there is something about indie authors writing that is very different.
It's almost raw.
It's opening up your heart and pouring salt on the wound.
So, okay. So
in the best way possible.
Yes. So here's a hot take.
Okay.
So, I actually have two thoughts, but
okay.
I'm gonna share one, and then I'm gonna share the other one that I feel like you're gonna have a lot to say about. So, like, I think of like an Abby Jimenez or like an Emily Henry.
Okay.
Great writers. Two of my favorite. Insta buy, love them. But like, I almost feel like it's like so like movie star romance, like made for movie kind of, not that they wrote it to be made into something, but it's almost like, it's like,
but sometimes they feel that way.
Like, it's like, oh, it's like, this is like funny. There's like funny jokes and there's funny, like the banter is like so funny, but it's like like, I've never been in a relationship. And like, here's the thing. I have never, like, not to say I've been in relationships where there isn't like fun and humor and that's not what I'm saying.
I mean, your husband is pretty funny. So.
But it's like, I connect more with the depth of it, like the rawness of those things, but that's way sub the rom-com, like, let's be fun, let's have fun, let's be funny kind of thing. And it's not to say there's no emotional depth in those books, but it's very, very different. And like, it's like, you know, celebrity and like real life, like the celebrity and then the real person, and then it's like whatever. But what I was going to say, so I still put Rebecca Yarros on the indie raw vibes side of the coin.
I would too.
Despite her level of popularity now, that's where I still put her.
You can tell though where it goes from indie author to trad.
Correct, because
you for someone who like me reads a lot of indie authors, you can tell the difference. In my opinion, there is a difference in the writing and things like that.
Because like like Magnolia Parks, she was indie up until very recently, like less than a year ago, I believe. And very much same, like the depth, the rawness, the realness, the relationships, totally different. And not to say that her last book lacked it, but it was very, it was written very differently. Like it felt different. Like it felt like it was being read, it was being pushed out to a more mainstream audience. Because even when I found her, she was not to say like I did not discover her. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying when I started reading Magnolia Parks, it was not as widely open as it is now, where it's like obviously she got new covers because the other covers didn't resonate with people because they weren't like as mass like looking as, you know, whatever. And I just think it's just so different. And like I said, I don't read a ton of indie authors, but even like Liz Tomforde, those books hit different. And like Lila Sage hits different. And it's the depth of the author, and having, when we went to see Lila Sage, you felt it. Like you felt, not that I haven't been to any author events, second to that one. But like I will forever compare them to that because it was such an intimate experience.
It was.
You feel like when you're reading, you're getting an intimate, like I go back and forth and I'm like, did this really happen to her? Like, did this, because I think I'm like, does this, and like, I feel like there's so many cases where they are truly pulling from their real life or from people they know. And I'm not saying that traditionally published people don't have those same experiences. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not putting it down. But I feel like the books that I've read, just indie-wise, they hit different. And you just feel, like, I just feel a depth for these people. And, like, that I've never, like, I don't feel for traditionally published books. It's not, and again, I love them. I'm not knocking them. Obviously, some of my favorite books, I literally listed in the last book, my favorite books of the year was Throne of Glass and in the Court of, and the ACOTAR series. This is very traditional. That you really can't get more traditionally published than Sarah J. Maas, minus the fact that Throne of Glass series was her as essentially as an indie author, and it may, in the depth of the characters, may hit different for me now looking back. That series hits different for me, because, and again, I don't know, these are Danielle thoughts that I'm having, obviously.
But yes, no, you are right. There is something different about the depth of relationship, character. I think there's different character development as well. Like, I think eventually, as I like keep twisting your arm to read A.K. Landau,
I knew you were gonna say. I was like, oh man, it's for sure coming.
But
no, I know.
the character development alone is, I know you will
love it,
appreciate it.
Yeah, because it's just very different. And like you said, like I do read more of the book talk heavy popularity books,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like, and I'll go back to it, and this will be the last thing I say on this specific topic specifically, but like, it's like when everyone starts out reading Colleen Hoover and then they realize that there's actually other books like out there to read.
Because we were all used to be that girl.
And I've been a reader my whole life, my literal whole life, obsessed with books. But it was when I like got back and everyone's like, oh, you should read Colleen Hoover, you should read Colleen. And then like I picked him up and I'm like, these are fast. And like, here's the thing, I get like a high from like finishing books really fast. It's like don't 0 to 10 would not recommend, but like it thrills me. But like I enjoyed it. I was like knocking books out left and right. I was like, these are so like whatever. They're so bingeable, but like they're not realistic. Some of these books are so outlandish that I'm just like, what the just read.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that like obviously It Ends With Us is inspired by a true story, but like if you want to think about that in and of itself, that is arguably her most popular book. Arguably, I would say
that and Verity.
Yeah. That's based on a real story. The stuff she's saying is real shit. So like if you're saying popularity buys, people crave the raw, real aspects of, and I'm not an It Ends With Us like preacher out here. Like I'm not like, oh my God, it's the best book. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that clearly like people crave that because like you feel different when you read that one versus like one of her other random books. It's like just random shit. Not putting her down, but like not for me anymore, yes. But yeah, that was a very long-winded kind of intro into this book essentially, and kind of like where I was like mentally while reading it. Cause like I said, in comparison to the other books that I read this month, this is the only indie one I think I've read this month or last month.
Well, you finished it this month.
I know, but like I'm saying, like in the last 2 months, like it's not like I have much like, to compare it to.
I see what you're saying.
So yeah, so that was kind of where my head was at. Yeah, because everything else is pretty I mean, while Elsie Silver is like still obviously, and she's technically on the indie spectrum, and I loved her last book. So yeah, that's it. Not it for the episode, just it for me.
Okay, so I'm going to read the back of the book.
Oh, yeah.
For Come Break My Heart Again. The first time writer James broke my heart, I was 15 and fearless. The second time he broke my heart, I was 18 and jaded. Both times I fell for him effortlessly. Falling is easy. Our landings are hard, painful. We were a sad song with a slow melody, flowers with paper petals, hidden letters with visible tears, and a beautiful tragedy. Except tragedies have endings. Our story just stopped. 7 years later, I still have more questions than answers. Questions I'm too proud to ask after almost a decade of silence. Answers he refuses to share, no matter how much time were forced to spend together. Everything's changed, except how I feel about him. And the reoccurring moments when I'm certain writer hasn't forgotten our past either. Can you forget your first? Or are they destined to keep breaking your heart over and over again? Oh my God. My only regret about this book is I don't own the original copy.
Speaking of the original.
Yes.
You said you weren't going to tell me like what she changed. So
okay.
Here we are.
I'm not going to get too into it because I literally don't think you can buy it anywhere anymore.
So.
But I wish, that's my one regret, is that I do not own the original book because the cover was beautiful. It had Elle standing on the beach.
Oh, yes. I saw that on Storygraph, I think.
Yes, it is so beautiful.
This one?
Yes, yeah. That is that. Okay, so in the original, they don't meet at 15. They meet for the first time, and I think it's like junior high or something like that. They were partnered for a group project.
Okay.
And they met in a treehouse to go, because he lived in a trailer park and she lived in the rich part of town. And they have this meet in the middle spot of this treehouse, and that's where he kisses her for the first time. And then it jumps to like high school and all the things. And he does leave for 2 years. And then he comes back from Florida. That did not change. And then it goes into like the story.
Okay.
But the reason, one of the biggest things that is different, and this is something that the timing, impeccable timing, she just DM'd me back and saying yes to answer my question. I couldn't remember if I was remembering it correctly or not, but I did. The reason again, saying this again, spoilers are coming. So if you have not read this book, exit, please. The reason Ryder goes to prison is different.
Okay.
Everything leading up to what happened to get him to go to prison, different.
Okay.
He originally goes to prison for SA. Okay. But he didn't do it.
Okay.
He was saving someone from SA.
Okay.
And he takes the fall because the girl swears that it was him.
Okay.
So in the story of the original, Elle, because she's a lawyer, is trying to exonerate him.
Okay.
Because she knows that he didn't do it.
Okay.
So in the original story, goes to the girl and is like, tell me everything. And comes to find out it was somebody else, and it's this whole thing. The rich people, they pay money to have their kids not be in trouble and all of the things. So that all happened in the original.
Okay.
In this book, he goes to jail. He goes to prison, not jail. He goes to prison
for possession
of cocaine. And lots of it.
Yes.
But
I have a question about that too.
Okay.
We don't have to talk about it right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was really sad. One of my favorite parts was taken out of this book.
Oh.
I felt it. We were there. But I was missing the song. So in the original book, the chapter where she goes to the garage and she's like sits in the car with him.
Yes.
And he rejects her but doesn't reject her kind of situation.
Yes.
In the original, she's like sitting up on the like a bench essentially, and there's music playing in the background, and the song "Kiss Me" comes on.
Quintessential like 90s 2000s rom-com.
Yes, which is a great song. Every time I hear that song, I literally think of this book.
No way.
Yes,
really?
every single time. But she's like sitting there, and she's like watching him work on this car, and the song comes on, and they're like, you can like feel the tension, and it's just like, she's like, well, are you just gonna kiss me or what? And like he kisses her with this song playing. And like, and when I got to that part when it was like, I think it was like chapter 16 or something like that, she like, goes to the garage, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is my favorite part in the book.
And then it's gone.
And I was like, wait, she rewrote it. I was so sad, but I'm okay because I did read the original. So I will always have the memory of that. But those were like the big changes.
I mean, that's a lot of big changes. It's like a different.
But this is a complete reimagine of Ryder and Elle's story.
Okay.
she didn't rewrite it. She completely reimagined it. She made small changes. She made big changes. New cover, and she added Ryder's point of view. Because Ryder's point of view is not in the original book.
Let me tell you, like, how was this POV not in the original book? Like, did you not feel when you were reading it, you were like, wow, like, I, like, needed this? I mean, I guess if you had read it one way, and I guess it's, like, different, but, like, I feel like...
You still felt everything Ryder was feeling without him voicing his inner monologue, if that makes sense.
I, like, loved having his POV.
Like, this, I didn't know I needed his POV, and I'm so glad that I got it.
That's like, we read that fucking book, and I was like, I wish I had...
Love Letter to Whiskey?
Yeah. I was like, I wish I'd never gotten his fucking POV. I actually wish I'd never gotten her POV either, but...
She was problematic. Anyway, this is the book we're talking about. But yes, I will say in the original, you don't really necessarily need Ryder's POV because you feel it without having his inner monologue.
Yeah.
And then when you finally get it in this reimagined of Ryder and Elle's story, it is just everything you want.
I could see that.
And everything that you felt if you've read the original. It's everything that you felt.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. 5 stars. I fell in love with him all over again. I loved it the first time, and I fell all over again.
I'm glad that you, like, loved it, like, again. Like, that you were able to kind of have that perspective. Because, like, that would have really sucked if it, like...
Oh, yeah, I would have.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there were times when I was reading this, and I was like, No, she rewrote that. And I would tell you, I was about halfway, and I was like, wow, he went to prison for drug possession. I was like, wow, she rewrote the entire reason he went to jail or prison. Yeah. And so what I ended up doing, because at the time I read this one and another Second Chance Lawyer, where she's a lawyer. The main character is a lawyer. And I was like making sure I wasn't getting them, like, confused. The stories confused. Yeah. And so I went back and kind of, like, glanced over the other book that I had read. And I DM'd the author of this book. I ended up DMing her, and I was like, I just have a quick question. Really loving this. But you rewrote the entire reason he went to prison, correct? I was just like, I'm just trying to make sure I'm remembering it correctly.
Yeah.
And she said, when I said impeccable timing, she said, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. And I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
I like this version better, but my one regret is I don't own the original in paperback. Mm-hmm. That is my one regret.
So, with that being said, did the scene at the party where Archer came on to her, did that happen in the original or no?
When he pushed her up against the bed?
Yes.
Yes, and then he does it again to somebody else.
Okay.
And that's why Ryder goes up to stop it, and then but the girl was so intoxicated that she forgot.
Okay. That was what I was going to ask. I was going to be like, would that have been taken out? But no, that makes sense.
But it was a reason for him to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
When he antagonized him.
Yeah. Do you think that he was set up by Cruz to take the fall because of all of that, or do you think it was just bad timing? Because she doesn't really address it. She kind of like. There's that kind of
they
like...
he asks or whatever, and he was like, oh, Zane's like, oh, he never said anything to me about it all those years later. I don't... Possibly. They're drug dealers. The cops are on them, constantly.
Yeah.
And it could have been like... this could be the point where I can get the cops off my back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a setup in the original, so I mean, why not?
Okay. That was what I was like. Obviously, there was the question towards the end of the book, but like I don't remember what. Like if there wasn't really any like resolution. Not that it like changes the story, but like it was just like one of those points that was like, did they?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It could have been, but didn't need to be addressed because it was just like, it is what it is.
Did they talk about why he went away for 2 years besides that the mom sent him away to the dad? Because like that was like kind of just like
that was it. That
was just it?
That was
Okay.
Ryder and her mom's boyfriend Cormac's dad were not getting along.
Okay.
And it was just easier if he was gone.
Okay, because I know this wasn't really like a big point of contention because it was never like really discussed again because it was really the gap between the 7 years, not really the gap of the 2 years.
Yeah.
But I was just like, and I know they kind of like talk about some things that happened like pre the 2 years, but I just was curious.
I mean, she does like lose her virginity to him.
Yes.
And she doesn't sleep with anybody else. Like,
yeah.
The fight though with Prescott, if I remember correctly, he shows up at 4th of July. It didn't happen at the bar.
Okay.
I believe that he goes to 4th of July. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe that is what happened in the original.
Okay.
But yeah. No, it
was so good. I really, really, really enjoyed it.
I'm really glad.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
These characters, they're just beautiful. And the book is written so well. Like, the story.
Oh, absolutely. It was so good. So good.
Seriously.
No, I really enjoyed it.
Speechless is honestly. So what did you end up rating it?
5.
5? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yes. Easy
But I'm
5.
glad.
Easy 5 for me.
Good. So I have 4 quotes. I picked one from past for each of them and
Okay.
present for each of them. So I'll do mine.
Okay.
The first one I have is Ryder. If you have the physical copy, you can get this book on KU, by the way. Yeah. All of CW Farnsworth books are on KU. This is page 164. This is Ryder's past. Quote, my feelings for Elle have always felt like a weakness, like something to hide, fleeting and temporary and never worth announcing. And then kind of like on the next page to like extend, Elle Clark makes me reckless around her. I'm incapable of making careful choices. It's like the perfect way to describe like how he felt about her at 17 when he fell in love with her all over again. I like just, you don't need the stuff in between. Like those 2 quotes are just like perfect. Mm-hmm. So, and that happened, I believe, no, this happened at the lake, that when they were jumping off the swing.
Yes.
That's when that happened. And then Ryder's Now is page 184. And this is about the letter that he wrote. And they're like kind of fighting about it. I could have written it yesterday. It wouldn't have changed a word. I wouldn't have changed a word. Yeah, I hurt you on purpose. I wish I had other options, but I didn't. I did what I thought was best for you, and you don't get to tell me that's wrong. I was the one in prison, not you. I did what I had to get through it, and I can't change the past. You're mad I never gave you a choice. You have one now. You said you'd never forgive me, and I never expected you to, but I am in love with you. If you want me, I'm yours, but if you can't get past everything that happened if the air has been cleared, whatever the hell that happens, I'll get it. I just need you to tell me what you want from me so we can both move forward. I feel like that was like he was like I could write the same letter today than I did 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, I still feel the same way. I know I hurt you on purpose, but it was the only way for you to continue to live your life while I was stuck here.
Yes.
And you not living with you constantly seeing me in this orange jumpsuit and miserable. Mm-hmm. And it would make me more miserable that you were not living.
Yeah.
So those are mine for Ryder. Do you want to do two of yours, or what do you got over there?
It's funny because both of mine were not from either of them.
Interesting.
Yes. So I have one from, I want to say they might be both. They might be both. They're in the same like vein, and
okay.
I want to say that they're both from his mom, from Nina.
Oh, I love Nina.
So this one was saying, was when they talked about her stealing the
ID.
The ID, and Elle says it was dumb, and Nina says I call it brave. We should all be lucky enough to be loved that fiercely.
Yes.
And so she was obviously talking about Elle. And then this one, she was talking about Ryder. And she said, but I want you to consider something. It's our nature to shield the people we love from pain and suffering. If I could have passed away peacefully without telling my boys about this disease that's going to kill me slowly, I would have. You think Ryder allowing others to visit him means he cared about you less. Have you ever considered that it was because he loved you more? Almost exactly what Tucker told me. Loved me so much that he refused to see me for 7 years, that he'd let me spend 7 years thinking. I don't think he thought you'd spend 7 years thinking anything. The words are quiet.
Yes.
And, I just think it's such a testament to the way that he felt for her. Not that she felt the same for him, but, he was, so convinced that she was going to be, living her life fully, without him. And she couldn't have imagined a life without him in it.
And, I mean, she essentially didn't really live her life. She had an engagement to Archer that she called off. She had, the relationship with Prescott.
Yeah.
Who
was on paper what she wanted, quote unquote,
on what her parents wanted for her. And that was another thing that was not addressed in this book. She basically tells her parents kind of off about the whole Rose thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we need to start living our lives and this, that, and the other. But
that actually, one of the things that broke my heart was when they were all saying about when Prescott goes, he
she's an only child.
Elle and I are both only children, and it was
you could feel the oxygen that was just sucked out of that bar.
Oh my God. And and I know it was not something she had obviously told him, but it was the way that everybody knew, and it was so uncomfortable reading it.
Oh yeah.
No, that was wild.
Okay, so then my Elle passed, page 244. It's, most people who read this book will tell you this is one of their favorite quotes, but he is the one who taught me how to kiss, and maybe that's why our lips touching feels like reunited puzzle pieces. So this is the first time they've kissed since since they were 17. Like, first time since they kissed since he'd been back
Yes.
from Jacksonville. And then my now quote from Elle, page 283. Being around Ryder has always made me feel safe, but it's never been easy or comfortable. It's always the edge of a cliff, pure anticipation of what will happen between us next, what he'll say, what he'll do, what I'll say, what I'll do. It's never predictable, which is the only way she ever wanted to live her life, was with the unpredictability of it all, because her life was basically written out for her since Rose died.
Yes.
That it was just, my mom continued to make me meals that Rose preferred and that I didn't. And I saw it and I ate them. I went to law school because that's what my dad wanted me to do. I have this in high school. I have this perfect boyfriend. It's my mom's best friend's son. Like, it was just written for her, and everything was the same. And nothing was unpredictable. And the only thing unpredictable about it was Ryder. And that's what she loved.
She loved, yeah.
I mean, she loved the unpredictability, but she loved that he gave her the option, the choice to either fight for it or walk away from it.
And to be the person that she actually wanted to be.
Yes. And gave her a voice and all of the things.
Yeah.
No, I love this book. And like the last bit of like, where he like proposes.
Yeah, so good.
And he's like, well, I want the house.
Yeah.
Because this sets us up.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so good.
And I mean, I get why he wants to like provide for her. Like, what man doesn't want to provide? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not be.
No, but it's also the accepting aspect, which I think that he also got to see that relationship through Tucker and Kira was like, he didn't feel some kind of way about it. And he was like, oh, they can like be happy and like not be doing that, like exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I loved it.
I agree. But I'm glad that you loved it.
Me too.
I'm really glad. I wasn't worried.
No.
But I felt like you would like it. Because it's kind of like right up your alley.
Yeah, it was really good.
But I expected like a 4.
No, I like loved it, but I also cried. So
well, there's that.
5, so.
I cried a lot. But no, if you have seriously
not read it, I told France to read it. I mean,
she'd probably like it.
I told her, I said you'd actually really like it. So the chapters are short.
But this is good. So thank you, CW Farnsworth, for this reimagined.
Yes.
Love story of Ryder and Elle.
July's book is Play Along by Liz Tomforde.
Yes.
I've heard amazing things about it in all our posts I've seen, so I'm excited to get into it. It comes out when you hear this, it'll already be out, but it'll be available on KU. So I'm very excited about that.
I'll need to add. I'll have to purchase because I need to add it to my.
Yeah, make sure you buy it. Make sure you buy it on the right link, because she was saying one of the links was not. Would not match.
Go straight to Amazon.
I know. She said one of the links on Amazon wasn't like, it was like a different version of it. So like if you wanted them to match, to make sure to go to her profile to click the link to Amazon of the one that matched.
Ooh, good. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, because that would have sent you.
That would have really sent me.
So.
Okay, well, that is all, and we will see you guys next time.
Love
ya,
guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in today to Tropes and Tantrums. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. And don't forget, happy reading.